and welcome to another fine edition of On the Spot. My name is Ronnie Wiley. To my left, if you know how to do a flip or a back flip or any type of gymnastic tumbling, chances are this lady taught you. This is Joann Borders. Joann, thank you for being on the spot.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I've been wanting to get you on the spot for a long time. I shared this story with us before we went on the air, and I kept thinking, how do I get a hold of her? So I messaged Robbie on Facebook, and Rob goes, get a hold of her at the Gymnastics Center. Duh. Should have got a hold of you there. Gymnastics, that's your thing, but when did you get involved in gymnastics?
I've always enjoyed gymnastics. I used to do gymnastics at my house before I started doing it.
Kind of teaching yourself?
Yes, that's right. And when I made the honor roll, my mom signed me up at the YMCA for gymnastics class.
How old were you?
I was in high school.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were in high school, and did you think, wow, this is it? I mean...
Well, it led me to Ball State, and when I went to Ball State, the lady down the hallway said, hey, I see you have gymnastics experience. Do you want to come out for the team? And I said, oh, I'm not sure I'm good enough. But guess what? I went out and I was a member of Ball State's gymnastics team.
Wow.
I specialized in vault and bars.
Wow. So you taught, now, how do you teach yourself? Because I know that if I try to do a flip, I would break my neck. How do you teach yourself?
Well, the bbest thing is you watch the people who can do it.
Oh, yeah.
And you look and you ask their hints, and that's how you learn. That's how and the coaches that coach for me, that's how we learn a lot, is we go to a lot of workshops to help us learn the best progressions and learn how to do it the best way you can.
So you're always learning.
We're always learning.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So Ball State, you went to Ball State, you loved it, you did the bars and the vault.
Yes.
And I tell you, that takes a lot of strength.
Yes.
So when you learn gymnastics, you also have to develop, do you hit the weights, or is it just really by doing it to where you get your stamina from your dead weight?
Well, actually, doing gymnastic skills builds strength in itself,
right,
along with doing your push-ups and your stretches and your sit-ups to develop your strength.
You know, when I was a little kid, when I was little, and my dad for a while put me in these karate classes, the taekwondo, and I'm not very good at it, but I would do the splits, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I thought you could always do the splits once you did them. Now I don't even think I can. That almost hurts bending up. But you got to keep at it. I mean, you got to keep stretch. You got to keep
right. You have to stay in shape.
Yeah. So again, going back to when you were a little kid and you were practicing, were you like tumbling off your bed or couch, or I mean, what were you doing to practice yourself?
Oh well, we practiced in the yard, handstands, invited the neighbors over, my siblings over.
Have your own competition, right?
Yeah, we would do our own thing, but going to Ball State just opened up new possibilities, and then when I moved back to Connorsville, people came and asked me if I would coach the gymnastics team at the YMCA, and that's where I got started coaching, because Sandy Charles and Leah Adams, their girls were in gymnastics, and their coach was quitting, and they wanted me to come down and start the program. So I coached at the YMCA for several years, and then eventually we bought the business, my sister Shirley and my husband Kerry, we bought the business from William Locke that was downtown where the police station, close to the police station is now.
Wow. So
started upstairs there, Connorsville Gymnastics in 1982.
Wow. See, I had like an pause.
Oh, yeah.
1982. So you started in 1982. Did you think, 30, I don't want to get it, but, a little bit years later, did you think, here in 2015, you would still be going strong?
Well, I don't know. I just never think about that. You just
keep doing it.
Just keep doing it.
Keep doing it. So you started in 1982. You had how many kids? You remember? You had back then?
When Mr. Locke said he had about 50 kids, but he had about 15 kids, and we brought the YMCA kids over, and those kids that started right then, they were the ones who eventually became the state champions.
Wow. Well, so you started with them very young.
Yeah.
So now, if somebody like my granddaughter, we were talking earlier, she's going to be 2 years old, and my daughter is waiting until about 3. She wants to get her in dance, but I'm trying to encourage her to do gymnastics too, because I think and I could be wrong, gymnastics is like the basis, because it teaches you balance, it teaches you pretty much everything that bases off athletics. How young do you recommend someone start gymnastics?
I think 2.5 is a good age, but not all 2.5-year-olds could do it. But something that probably everybody notices now, that kids are much smarter than what they used to be. They're very worldly. At 2.5, they know how to talk. They know how to do almost everything. And so we have a couple 2.5-year-olds that are outstanding already. They do
wow.
little mini cartwheels and jump on the trampoline. And they do great.
Wow, wow. Now, if somebody like me came right off the street and I said, Joann, I want to learn gymnastics. Of course, to me, gymnastics is on that mat and I'm flipping around and what's the first thing that you teach someone when you're teaching them gymnastics? What's the first skill that you teach them?
Well, everybody wants to flip to start with, so you have to teach them how to flip safely.
Right.
But generally speaking, when we start teaching kids, we teach them cartwheels, and we teach them how to fall safely, so that if they would try something and fall, that they would still be safe. But teach them how to roll,
Wow.
to roll backwards, to roll forwards.
So in order to do a flip, you get on the floor and you kind of do your tuck and rolls, basically.
Tuck and roll, right.
Yeah, wow. So when you, going back to when you were a little kid and the excitement of you with your friends and your family and your siblings, doing the flips to now coaching and seeing the joy that the kids have, that's got to be one of the most rewarding parts of the job.
It is very rewarding. And I'm pleased to say that I think we have a lot of kids that have had it outstanding. Just feel good about it, that they've went on to coach. And we'll go to gymnastics meets sometimes all over the state of Indiana, and I will see our former gymnasts coaching other places.
Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome.
Yeah, kind of like your umbrella.
Yeah.
And I know Heidi Davidson, Haverstadt Davidson, I know she's out there teaching now, which is phenomenal.
One of my, Kim Duncan, who coaches at the Gymnastics Center, she was a former gymnast at Hagerstown. And she helps me. And then Kristen Allen, that was Kristen Jackson. She was one of my best gymnasts. She helps me at the Gymnastics Center, along with many of my other gymnasts, too.
So you have, right here at Connorsville, your hand far extends just Fayette County. You teach kids from the area.
Yes. Yeah. Rushville, Brookville, Laurel, Liberty, Centerville, Hagerstown. Sometimes I feel like we train our competition.
Yeah. So you have kids coming in from all over, and I've been out there a couple of times, and it's a phenomenal facility. I don't really think we as a community recognize how great of our athletic facilities we do have, and the Gymnastics Center is one of them. But you moved from the YMCA, you've expanded it, correct?
Right.
And is there any more expansion ideas that you have?
Well, we are, rather than thinking expansion, we like to think of quality, of always having the best equipment for the kids to compete on, so that they can compete safely and do the best they can do.
Yeah, I still would love to. You have one of those big, like, trampoline type things, don't you?
We do. But one of our best training things is a pit, so that kids can do harder level skills and still land safely.
The pit?
Yes.
Kind of like all sides?
No, it's a foam. It's foam, and then it has a lot of give to it. So if you would land on your head, you could just laugh about it and get up and be fine.
Yeah, that is quite embarrassing. So again, you're reaching out. You said you're training your competition, which, I tell you, again, that goes to say what kind of facility we have if other people are coming here. That's got to make you feel good that people, when they hear gymnastics, they think of, I got to get a hold of Joann Borders.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I like to think that we do a good job, and I think part of it is because everybody that works for me, we all have the same plan, try to do the best we can for the kids. And basically, the kids that come in and the kids that work hard, they see steady progress. Some kids think, well, if we sign up for gymnastics, we're going to be better. But it's not that. It's that work. It's coming in and improving, and maybe coming back a little bit, and then improving a little bit more, and you just stay with it and improve.
Well, it's like with any sport, it's everyone's at their own pace. Everyone has their own development skills. Getting with gymnastics, is it something that can be taught, or is it really like any other sport, to where you have to have the skill? We can develop it, but you have to have it, or can anybody learn?
Well, there's a theory. There's several theories about this. If you have certain attributes, gymnastics comes easier for you. Of course, in gymnastics, they want to see a lot of flexibility, but you also have to have the strength and power. the world's best gymnasts have it all. You know, they have the strength, they have the power, they have the flexibility. That's why they can do so much, and they're not afraid to train hard. And that's why they can do everything. But one thing that I have noticed, some of my best gymnasts weren't always my most talented. They were the ones who were the hardest workers. They are the ones that do outstanding.
So it's extra time.
Extra
doing
time.
that extra flip, doing that extra, holding yourself up a little longer when you're on the bars. That's something that can't be taught.
Right.
That can't be taught. How now? Obviously, when the kids they try out for gymnastics team, I mean, you have to make it. Am I correct, or does everybody make it who tries out?
For the high school team, almost everybody usually makes it because we've had small teams.
Oh, okay.
We have probably about 15 this year.
What do you normally have?
Well, we have somewhere between 12 and 18.
Oh wow. Okay, so 15 is about normal.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So when you have kids coming in, and if they're has anybody ever been like not ready for high school, but then surprised you when they got on the team and thought, whoa, where'd that come from?
We have a foreign exchange student this year that came in, and she came in a couple Fridays to try to feel the water. And I said, "What? You want to be on the gymnastics team?" I said, "Well, have you been doing gymnastics?" She says, "No," but she smiles and she says, "But I love it." And I said, "Oh yeah." She said, "I'd love to watch it."
Yeah, me too.
And so it's amazing. Every time she's come in, she's learned a little bit more and a little bit more, and she's going to be able to compete for us this year.
Oh, wow, good.
Because she has picked up some skills.
Now, do the girls pick their own specialty, like the floor or the vault or the bars or whatever other event that they have? Do they pick their own, or do you, as the coach, say, I think you're better at this? How does that work?
Well, it works both ways. The kids pick the events that they like the most and what they're good at. And usually they like what they're the best at.
Right, yeah.
But sometimes I have to encourage them. I think you're pretty good at this too. Let's try this
Right,
too.
yeah.
Because you never know when you might have to have somebody else step in because someone might be sick
Right.
or hurt. But usually the all-around gymnasts are your more trained gymnasts. They
Right.
do all the different events.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've been impressed with gymnastics is just the whole. I mean, you got the vault. You have that little balance beam that's unbelievable. I mean, how thick is that thing?
4 inches wide.
See, that's 4 inches wide, and they're walking on it, flipping on it like
Right.
it's this floor.
Yes.
That's got to be one of the most scariest events. What to you is the hardest and scariest event to teach?
The hardest event for kids to learn is the bars because you have to have strength.
The
Yeah,
parallel bars,
right?
yeah.
Uh-huh. You have to have strength, and the level of skills that the kids have to have now, they have to be strong enough to swing giants, to do handstands and swing giants, and you have got to be strong enough to pick your whole body up and go all the way around the bar.
That seems so easy, though. I think
They make it look so easy.
Right. I
They
couldn't do
make it look
Forget
easy, but it is hard.
I know they do that flip. It seems fun. They do. Then they catch their body on the lower one and do a flip back up. You're like, that is skill and that's such strength. I mean, these girls are stronger than I am. There's no question about it. So the injuries, obviously they happen, and from just watching, it seems like a lot of ankles, a lot of ankle sprains that happens.
Well, I don't think we've had as many ankle sprains. The kids, we've tried to condition them more so that there are less ankle sprains.
And how do you do that? Is there stretching on that you do to?
Yes, stretching and punching and jumping. And
Punching?
Yeah, just run and jump, punch. And
Oh, wow.
on the springboard, they hold weights and punch to strengthen their ankles as they're pushing through to strengthen their ankles.
See, that's stuff that I would never think about. That's amazing, the things that they do. So again, you started back in 1982 teaching, and here you are these years later going strong with the kids. Back in 1982, you said that you've seen a lot of kids that are in other areas coaching. Do you still keep in contact with some of the kids from when you started back in 82?
Yes, and I see them all the time. I went to a conference in Indianapolis this summer, and I'm going into one of the different lectures, and I immediately saw 2 kids that I watched grow up in my gym, and they're coaching from, one is Kendra Jones, she was coaching for Dana Mannix, and another was Chelsea Scott, and she's coaching for Westside Gymnastics now.
Wow.
And they're both coming in to see the same lecture that I am.
Wow. So going back to the coaching, and again, not everybody gets on the high school team, or not everybody has aspirations for that. For the average person like me, who I really need to get back into shape. I mean, the camera's getting a little wider on me, and I really need to get back into shape. Would you recommend gymnastics for somebody to maybe try to get back into shape?
Oh, not really.
No?
Not really. It's hard to have. It's hard to carry. When you have extra weight, it's harder for you to
do that
move that weight.
Yeah.
But
So get skinny first, then come see, right? Okay.
actually, it's amazing. They have everything in the world to get fit nowadays. It's
Right,
wonderful.
yeah. I tell you, during the Olympics, that's a big time, to watch the gymnasts, and you see the girls and the guys, all of them, and it's just amazed how they can make that look so easy. Especially the floor exercise, where, I mean, they have that white line, and they know how to stop, right? It's just amazing, how big is that floor?
It's about 40 feet wide.
Wow, and they run the whole thing and do 2, 3, 4
Oh, yeah.
flips. Wow.
Amazing.
Now, do you choreograph that with your students, or do you?
We do. The kids have, the beginning kids, they have a compulsory routine, a prescribed routine that they have to do. Then when they get into the optional level, which is what the high school kids do, then they have to have somebody choreograph the routine for them. My friend Kim that coaches for us, she choreographs a lot of the routines. Kim Duncan, she is really, I'd say, the best. But then I have some of my former gymnasts who also like to choreograph. Sarah Shutt, she's in college now. She likes to choreograph. She came back and choreographed a couple kids' routines. And then Sydney Huber has choreographed people that are former gymnasts. And so they like to experience that too and see how they do with that.
So, and obviously with the choreograph, there are certain elements that you have to hit.
Right, right.
And certain things
You
you
have to
do.
have certain skills in there.
Now, is the music irrelevant, or is the music does the music
You
make
have
a
to
difference?
have between a minute and a minute 30 seconds.
Does the type of music make a difference, or
You
does it
cannot
add
have
to-
any words in it.
Oh, I never paid attention. I guess there isn't any words. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing. Talk about 1987, 1988, 1989.
Yes.
When I moved here to Indiana back in '87, I think it was just the school year of '87, '88. So we had just won the first state championship.
Right, in 87.
And of course, here, when I moved over here, while we heard about basketball state titles, but gymnasts have more.
Yes, we had 3.
Yeah, you got to be proud about that. Again, you talked about how a lot of those girls came with you from 1982.
Yeah, they were the little kids that would come down to the gymnastics center to train when we opened up downtown. And Heidi Halberstadt and Tanya Baker, they were both freshmen, and we didn't make it to the state that year. But then the following year, when we added more freshmen, we had Katie Stern and Christy Glass and Gina and Laura Harrell. We had all these extra kids that were freshmen that they were good too. So all of a sudden it became a thing. Okay, we've got all these good kids. Now who's going to compete? Because only the 4 best get to compete on each event. So it became very tough. So everybody worked hard so they would be one of those top 4 kids.
Competition is what really...
Competition within the squad made those kids very strong.
Yeah. Wow, you couldn't have a B team to compete too.
Well,
yeah.
we had a junior varsity, but nobody wanted to be on the junior varsity.
Not at
Everybody
all.
wanted to be on the varsity.
Yeah.
But one of our goals was not to let anybody else have a place in our regular meetings.
Yeah, that's
We were going to take all the places 1 through 6.
Yeah, well, why not?
And we did.
Why not? Good for you. So, your first state title, that had to be an incredible feeling.
It was, oh my gosh, we finished up on vault. And Katie was the last vaulter of the meet, and she stuck her pike soup, which was a new vault for her.
Oh wow!
And vaulted us to the state championships.
Wow! So you get this first state title. Were you feeling pretty good coming in the number 2?
Everybody always said that it would never happen again, and the kids really worked to make it happen.
Wow! And not only did they make it happen the second time, you're going into that 3rd season with that squad.
Yep.
And
I just lost one girl, Kathy Orschel.
Yeah.
She was a senior in '88, so we lost her, but we picked up Heather Gettinger, who was a really strong freshman. So
I remember all those kids because I went to school with
because
them.
you went to school.
Yeah, John has some pictures up from the '87 and then '89 class. So again, these girls, they leave. You got to feel. I mean, you feel proud that you had them, but Did it feel like a rebuilding time for
Well,
you? Or?
you know, I always thought that we would have more, but it was strange. Once you have outstanding gymnasts coming up, but then something happens that pull them a different direction.
Right.
And I know when we had that championship book that came out, they said, well, we didn't have any more of the kids go to the state, but we did. We had individuals
Oh, sure you
who
had.
were trying to go to the state. We just didn't have as many of them because it takes top 3 scores. So you have to have 3 top scorers in there to do that. So I had, after those guys came in, I had Heather, then I had Ellie Bunsendahl, and then I had, oh my gosh, Tiffany Adams and Michelle Miller. They were together,
Yeah.
but we lacked that
Whole team.
third and fourth outstanding score. But those kids, they made their marks. They went up there and they competed. And then I had, oh my gosh, I thought I had another dynasty when I had Carrie Kunkel and Stephanie Clemmy and Delinda French. I thought, wow, those kids are all tough, and they were good. They were good, but it just like
The depth wasn't there.
we didn't have quite as much depth. Then I had Kristen Jackson, who was outstanding too, and she just did it for 1 year. And it was doing the long haul, staying there for the long haul.
Yeah.
You know, did you have 3 or 4 kids who were there for 4 years who just each year would say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this.
And it seems like there's a lot more extracurricular activity to compete with than maybe back in the day that kids are, you know, there's so much more out there for kids to explore. So you get kids for a couple of years, that's a coup. And I remember here recently, 2-3 years ago, you had some kids that competed in state.
Yeah.
So
like
you're always,
Kristen Gilly was awesome. And you know what? But I just had Kristen. You know, I didn't have somebody who was strong enough. That was her exact age. I had some younger than her, but you have to be there right side by side. And I can remember at the sectional, she won the sectional and won almost every event, but it wasn't enough to win a sectional title because she just couldn't. Her scores weren't good enough. You had to have more.
Yeah, talk about scores. Is it still on the 10-point? Because I know ice skating's changed. I don't know if like they're on the 6-point. I didn't know if gymnastics went to that or not. I forget.
Well, in USA Gymnastics, we have 10 still. But when you go to the Olympic level, now it's up into 17s.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's you get so much difficulty and so much execution. So you might be looking at a score of 13.5. You're thinking, is that good?
Yeah, right.
What about this 14.2?
Yeah. So how do they? I mean, because that's as a coach. I mean, obviously you're looking at it a little differently than what I would look at it because you know where they stumble. Where are the judges that precise to where she kind of wiggled a little bit on a certain routine? I mean, how do they score that?
Oh my gosh! Oh, they take a 10th here and a 10th there, and
so it's not subjective. It's basically she hugged the line too far, or maybe went 1 second over her routine. I mean, so there are certain rules and guidelines they got to go by.
Yes. To be a judge is a hard thing.
Yeah, I would think so. Because, I mean, I've watched the Olympics. We all have where you think, well, that person was great. And then they get a terrible score. Or they don't get as high as you think. And then when they do the replay, you kind of see where. And I'm thinking, how do they see that? That's got to be frustrating. Whereas obviously, as a gymnast, when you mess up.
Right.
Obviously, as a coach, when your gymnast messed up. But
sometimes you have to cover it up and hope they don't notice it.
Yeah, and that's another thing I was going to ask. When you're in the midst of a routine, and do you teach the cover-ups? Do you teach how to quickly overcompensate or fix a problem that happened?
We do. We teach that. We tell the kids, guess what? They don't know what you're going to do.
Right.
I know your routine. You know your routine, but they don't know. Or maybe they think you've just had some changes made.
Yeah.
So they do a layout half instead of a full.
Yeah.
Cover it up.
Yeah.
Pretend like it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, we have a saying in theater, if you don't show it, they don't know it. The audience don't know it. So I would assume that sort of applies there with
that's right. There you go.
Because if you don't know a line, they don't know that you don't know a line. So so again, gymnastics, you get kids now, you say they come in at 2.5. Is there a cutoff? Like I said, I'm 44, and it gets me excited. I got to get skinny, of course, but there's no age limit on somebody coming in and learning just some basics?
We were totally amazed one time. We were at a meet a couple of years ago, and we had a 25-year-old gymnast competing with us. She
Wow.
had just graduated from college, and she still loved gymnastics, so she still competed.
Now, is this a meet with the high school kids? Or
No,
just,
this was a USAG meet.
okay, so this is a meet that anybody, that the kids out of high school can still compete in. So once their high school career is over, it doesn't mean that they can't still go compete.
That's right.
What's the next level besides college? Is there like an AAU or?
Well, it's USA Gymnastics program, and they can compete at whatever level they're ready for.
Wow. Wow. So that's kind of like, wow, that's.
That gymnast was a level 10. We trained kids from level 3 through 9 in our
Is
gym.
the lowest the highest score?
Lowest is the beginning, and you have 10s, but 10s are very tough to be a 10. You have to spend many hours in the gym and be very talented.
Many years
Right.
too. Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
right.
Now, do you still get out there and roll with the kids and do a couple
Sometimes I
flips?
demonstrate things, and the parents can't believe it.
You still do
I
big
didn't know they could do
backflip?
it. Oh no, I don't. I haven't done any backflips for several days.
Several days. No, I'm not saying do it here.
No, I used to do it on the diving board though.
Well, speaking of that, we talked to Daryl Drew last week on the sports show, and we talking about the flips, the kids that do diving. And I was like, well, man, does Joann kind of help out with that? Of course, they land on their head where you want the kids to land on their feet, but there is that basic gymnastics. And you were telling me before we went on the air that there was one of your kids ended up diving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's fun, though. I think that would be almost, but the technique's different. Do you recommend somebody who to get on the diving board and kind of do some flips to practice for what you do?
No. But once you can do good gymnastics, then you could do good diving. But once you're a good diver, that doesn't mean you're a good gymnast, because you have to be better at landing.
Oh, that's true, because Greg Louganis would probably break his neck if he came. He would be used to doing all that. So again, for me, somebody who just like your student, who just loves, and I do love watching. I think it is one of those sports that it looks so easy and so fluid. It just looks. That's what gymnastics to me is, and I love sports that have that fluid motion. Is that what you look for when you're teaching your kids, or looking for the potential of somebody, how fluid they are in their motion?
You might say that. I think about how easy they do things.
Oh, okay.
How much energy they have.
So
how easily they do things.
So it's basically not trying to do too much.
It's being able to do things with ease. And the thing that prompts kids to keep improving is getting good scores. Once they start competing, if they have straight-looking legs, they get better scores. And if they're strong and they like it and they work real hard and they start improving, they get better scores. And then they move up, and as the routines, as they move up, the routines get a little bit harder and more challenging. And some kids, they love that challenge. They love to do more and more and more. And those are the kids that develop more, the ones that always want a little more.
Yeah, I need to come out and watch a meet, because it's like you said, the fluid at ease. It just anytime you're good at anything, if you make it look like anybody can do it, then you're doing your job right.
Yes.
So when you talked about levels of kids, when you're putting your roster together, or and I don't know how this works, because I know with bowling you want to put your top guy against their top guy and yada yada.
Yeah.
Is that how you do it with gymnastics?
With gymnastics, we like. The surrounding schools are on a high school team. A lot of them have lost the depth that they have, so they just have a varsity team. So we try to have 8 varsity slots, and the best goes last, so that the first one goes out there and everybody appreciates them. Then the next person comes out and they work a little harder, so they appreciate them more. And then when the last person goes, that's the best. They really appreciate them. Yeah. So you're building the scores as
kind
well
of building and you're building the anticipation.
Expectation. Yeah.
I told you 30 minutes will go last. I'm sure you're probably thinking it's not 30 minutes, but it
probably is.
It's 30 minutes. I had a good time.
All right.
Great.
Thanks.
I wish we had time where I could maybe learn how to do a backflip, but maybe for some other time. Joann, thank you, and God bless you very much. And thank you for coming on the spot. We'll see you next month for another fine edition of On the Spot.